Well, I think that I think for us, one of the first keys was that um, Andrew Morales made big pitches to keep that game from getting away from us. I mean, we all saw how it started, and we know that he threw a ton of pitches uncharacteristic of him. But I mean, it seemed like they had guys on base every inning they may have, or almost every inning, and they were in a position to really break it open. And I think that he did what we've seen him do consistently, which is compete and never give in. Evan Manarino came in, gave us a little scare, and came up with big pitches to get us out of that inning. And then, of course, Evan Brock was sensational. We had some chances. We didn't capitalize, but by keeping the game close, and with there being no clock in this game, it was possible for us to do what we did in the eighth. Taylor Sparks had a spectacular game, both on offense and defense. And so we got a hit to lead off that eighth, and a good bunt. Then a huge hit by Taylor, and then Chris came up big, makes it 2-1, another hit, and then a two-strike base hit by Munoz. So we strung together some hits, and as I mentioned a minute ago, why Evan Brock was really, really, really good. And so for us, it was a great win.
We'll open the floor for questions. In the far back on the right. As a reminder, please introduce yourself and your affiliation before you ask your question.
Shotgun Spratling with College Baseball Daily. Chris, can you talk a little bit about your hit? Tell me what was going through your mind. You've had an up and down season. For you to get the big hit to put you guys ahead.
Nothing was going really through my mind, but I guess all I was thinking about was I got to get the job done. If I get this hit, we win.
Aaron Fitt, Baseball America. Evan, of course, you have a lot of bullpen experience in your career, but not this year. Curious, was your adrenaline pumping out there? It seemed like your stuff maybe played up a little bit. And Coach, if you could maybe explain the thought process behind going with Evan in that situation.
Evan, if you'd address the question first.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had much bullpen experience, at least this year. But, I mean, definitely my adrenaline was pumping today. So, I mean, it was a big game. And, I mean, I haven't been in that type of situation late in the game in a long time. So, I mean, it was pretty fun for me. So that definitely got the juices flowing.
Excuse me. You know, with the way this tournament sets up, with days off in between, and of course with the knowledge that you lose two and you're on your way home, it really wasn't a difficult call to use either Manarino or Evan. Evan has had a really very, very good year, a very, very consistent year. He's among the one or two, or certainly the shortest of lists of the top leaders that we have on this team. And so we certainly felt that he would love it. He would love to be in there. And the fact that he hadn't relieved was really not an issue. Because we would have a day off tomorrow, whether we would win or lose, we felt like we could use both Manarino and Evan and not burn them up for Monday. Had they tied that game, I mean, how much longer would we have gone with Evan? I don't know the answer to that, but it really wasn't a difficult decision.
In the middle.
Lee Barfneck from the Omaha World Herald for Taylor. The way the wind was blowing today, did you think it might take two swings to get a ball to the warning track? And where does that at bat that you hit the triple on rank among some of your favorites maybe?
Yeah, the wind was really howling in, so I knew anything lifted, it wasn't going anywhere. So I just tried to stay flat with that, and I was able to travel through the gap. And that had to be one of, I mean, it's definitely my most special and favorite hit I've had so far. So.
Back on the left.
Mitch Sherman, ESPN.com. For Coach and either Chris or Taylor, as you were out in the field in the second inning, considering the conditions out there today and the style of play for both teams, did you get a sense that the coach, that the team had a good awareness of the importance of that second inning and the circumstances there to keep Texas to just one run when things started when they started to get runners on base?
Well, I think the answer is yes. I'm sure the answer is yes. I mean, pardon me, but the scores really don't lie about us. We must have been in close to 40 games that have been 1 or 2 run games, certainly no more than 3. So, excuse me. So, our players understand the importance of limiting the damage and putting a stop to things. It's a term that we use that we need to stop. We just got to bring things to a halt. I think it's oftentimes that's a mentality. I think that a strong mentality is a quality that this team has in spades. I think it is one of the things that has enabled us to have some success. And so that's probably a long-winded answer to your question, but certainly I think everybody understood that when we got out of trouble in those early innings that we knew it was a ball game.
Chris, do you have anything to add?
Skip said it all.
I've never known him to be speechless. Have you guys ever known him to be speechless?
Mike, you better answer this then. I'm Gil Leberton with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. After the triple, you guys huddled, and I think 90% of the stadium thought you were going to squeeze there. Can you explain what your thinking was?
There's a rumor that we squeeze. It's a myth. We're trying to live that down. We're a beginning club. Certainly, the squeeze has been important to us, and Chris would be up to it. Part of the problem with the squeeze is that you don't always get a pitch to work with, and every once in a while, some shrewd, dirty rat like Augie might pitch out, and so it's not just an easy slam dunk decision to squeeze all the time. We really felt at almost any opportunity, what we've said about Chris Rabago is that he has historically with us come up the biggest in the tough situations, the most important situations. I mean, that very situation, and as the count runs deep, why he doesn't give in. He's I think his competitiveness is one of the things that separates him.
We'll begin over here on the left.
Taylor, Brian Davis from the Austin American Statesman. Nathan Thornhill was saying that when he saw the replay of the triple, he thought it was a really good pitch that you got all of. Did you think, was it right there for you? What did you think of that specific pitch? And what about Thornhill up to that point were y'all kind of struggling with?
Yeah, that pitch, I felt like I was able to pick up on it pretty early, and I just put a good swing on it. I mean, I figured no reason to, in the 8th inning, to really wait and get deep in the count. I figured just go after whatever pitch I can hit, and luckily I was able to put a good swing on that one. And throughout the game, he was hitting his spots. I mean, it took us a while to get into it. I mean, I'm sure the butterflies and all that, getting the butterflies out had something to do with getting our rhythm back and everything. But that's the kind of team we are. We keep fighting, and I mean, we eventually figured out what we had to do against them. So there wasn't really anything that we did really different specifically. So we just kept battling.
We got time for 2 more questions. We'll begin with Lee.
Lee Barfnick, Omaha World Herald for Mike. It appeared you guys had tied the game in the 3rd inning at 1-1. The first base umpire decided otherwise. Do you favor instant replay, and do you think that play affected your team at all in any way?
Well, I do favor instant replay. I know that not everybody does. I'm really I'm really all for getting it right. And I would have loved instant replay on that play. And as for our players, I really didn't sense that they felt that okay, we lost our one chance at it. And so I really felt that the players were still positive and still aggressive and still, I think, and still believed.
Final question here on the left.
Kirk Bowles from the Austin American Statesman. I'm sorry if you've already been asked this, Mike, but in the first inning when Andrew walked the first two batters, were you at all surprised that Augie had Mark Payton his best hitter bunting, or that just
No.
who Augie is?
Well, I'm not surprised. I think that I can't speak for Augie, but we would have had no hesitation to do the same thing. I think that when you anticipate, right or wrong, but when you have reason to believe that runs are going to be hard to come by, and it should be hard to come by runs against Andrew Morales. And so I think to seize the opportunity to get a run and maybe two by doing what they did was sound. It's been my observation of playing against Augie for many, many years that his players buy into his message that is do something to help our team win today. And so Peyton, who's an outstanding player, we all know that. He's an outstanding player. But I'm positive he's on board with the decision to do that and help his team get a run and get a jump. That's we all think that's important.
Did you feel Andrew was teetering, though?
Well, yeah. Absolutely. We know this about him. He's I'm trying to say this as clearly as I can, that he can get amped to the gills, and what that of course translates to is that sometimes he needs a few pitches and he may need an inning to become him, and so it wasn't altogether discouraging or a shock to find that given this circumstance, for crying out loud, that he'd be gooned. He was gooned. Now he might not like that, so it's okay if you don't print that. But